Hi, and welcome back to Global TV Talk Show. We're here in San Diego today with Purcell, an immigration attorney who's just launched her own enterprise. Welcome,
Thank
Tio.
you. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to see you, and thank you for
Yeah,
the invitation.
you bet. Global TV Talk Show is has been around since March of 2020 because my live conference business went cold quick because of the pandemic
Sure.
restrictions. So since then, I've been fortunate to be able to produce 750 programs.
Wow,
And so they're all on YouTube if you care to have a look. This one will be there also.
that's awesome.
Okay.
Congratulations to you too.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so let's talk about you. And now you're originally from Eastern Europe, is that right?
Yeah, so I'm born and raised in Bulgaria, where my parents and extended family still live. I actually went to law school in Bulgaria, and then I came to the US to do my master's in law. I went to University of San Diego, beautiful campus, great university. Loved it. Decided to take the bar exam
Mm.
and became a licensed lawyer in the US. Went through the immigration process myself. And basically, for the last 20 years, I've been doing immigration law, working with individuals, families, a lot of businesses, entrepreneurs, help them achieve the American dream and take advantage of new opportunities. And I'm grateful for the ability to do that. And at my new firm, that's why my tagline is unlocking new horizons through your trusted U.S. immigration partner, because I really think that's what makes my work most rewarding, being able to help people change their lives. Yeah.
Yeah, so transitions, people in
Yes,
transition, they're they have a lot of needs,
they do.
and your personal experience
Yeah.
is real and authentic.
Certainly, it helps me, connect to my clients, which is really important in this field.
Yeah. So, what do you see happening here with immigration? I obviously know others in your industry, uh,
Yeah.
but what's your take on, for instance, business immigration rather
Mhm.
than refugee immigration?
Yeah. Yeah. So the focus of my practice really is mostly business immigration, corporate employment based, family based, and it's a constantly evolving area, even though the laws remain the same. And the reason is the policies change and the way the laws are interpreted change with each administration. But it's hard to predict some of those changes because there's a lot of discretion in U.S. immigration. What I see is, especially with the downturn in the U.S. economy that we are seeing, a lot of people are losing their jobs, and many of them are foreign nationals. So what happens is then that impacts the immigration status. And generally, if they're on a temporary work visa, they only have 60 days to find a new employer, which could be challenging. Similarly, the green card process is impacted. Sometimes we have to put it on hold. So it takes a lot of close collaboration with companies and individuals to be able to strategize as these changes are happening. And that creates some anxiety as well. Um, but that's why it's very important to work with somebody you trust, somebody who is experienced in this field. Another change that or challenge that we see is really when it comes to planning, and especially for businesses. I work with companies that rely on highly skilled workers, on foreign talents, scientists for outside of the country. or engineers who are needed for critical projects here. And, you know, usually the question is, we need them right now, we need them yesterday. How long will it take? And, you know, I always tell my clients, I can tell you how long it will take for me to do the work. But you know, and I can give you an estimate as to the timeline, but processing times change and they vary and they're not consistent. And I have to say, since COVID, there's still a significant backlog at all the agencies, the immigration service, the consulates. So, you know, the timelines and doing that planning is difficult. So it's important to be flexible and to be in communication, you know, with your immigration partner.
Yeah. So is there things you can do
Mhm.
in advance?
Yeah,
I mean, in the early stage when you come into a contact with a client and the time
yeah.
issue is annoying and problematical. So do you give them things to do, sort of like a checklist and
Yeah,
manage their time for them?
yeah. So I always tell them, my clients, this is really partnership. You know, I'm here for you to provide you with my expertise, my skills, but I can only do my work if you do your homework. And we need to rely on each other and work closely, and there are timelines. So it's important to first be informed, and I educate my clients what the process entails, each step, and what will be required from them. So start gathering the documentation early. If you have any questions or any challenges, you know, let me know so that I can provide you with the guidance. You know, usually the strategy will involve several options if possible. So let's pick the best one, but we have a plan B. It's not always available, but sometimes it is. And in some cases, it may be worth exploring two options at the same time because we don't know which one will be faster. So that's something we can do and we do all the time. Um, and really setting the expectations, I think, is key, and working collaboratively together. You know, we are on the same team. That's one of the practice areas in law where truly it's teamwork, and it can be challenging, but it's also pretty fun. So I enjoy doing that.
So you like being creative
I like being
rather than
creative very much. So
rather
yeah,
than the detailed technical
yeah,
side of
yeah,
things.
yeah.
So, well, I'm like that too, but a totally
Yeah.
different business. But let me ask you about the technical side. So, do you farm out the work to somebody who's got that capability better than yourself?
Yeah, so people think of especially business immigration very much as, you know, filling out paperwork, you know, pushing papers, checking boxes, and that's important, but that's not everything that's involved. So the form filling is not simple data entry. I do get assistance from, you know, virtual assistance from paralegals that I trust to do some of that technical stuff under my supervision once I've determined the strategy. But even then, there's creativity involved. You know, especially there is one category that allows individuals to petition for the green card themselves and take control of the process. And that is what's called national interest waiver, where basically we have to show that the person has certain skills and an advanced degree and does work that's in the US national interest, whether it's improving the economy, healthcare, technology, global competitiveness. And, you know, it can be really very broadly defined. And if you can show that, you can bypass the requirement for a job offer and to show that there is no minimally qualified US worker. So it kind of, the way I see the immigration, there's the technical side, which is inevitable, and you can farm that out, you know, to an extent. But really, you know, the focus for me as the attorney, and what I enjoy is coming up with these ideas as to where can we fit your business. You may be a horse trainer, which I've done as a national interest waiver. You may be somebody who works as a sales representative for a pharmaceutical company. That may be critical. You may even be a teacher. I've done it for a lawyer, prosecutor. So it's not the traditional, only the traditional, cancer researcher, which is clearly in the U.S. national interest. Yeah, it's something that is a result of, the years of experience they've had. I've come to really appreciate and, you know, and be able to offer that to my clients is really makes me happy, and it's a gift.
Yeah, thank you. So let's review a little bit.
Yeah.
And what advice do you have for those looking to immigrate into the U.S.?
So immigrating to the US or another country takes courage, right? But it also takes a lot of, you have to be adaptable. And you have to make sure that you partner with the right people, whether it's your immigration lawyer, your global mobility advisor, business advisor, and you have to be well informed by competent people and competent resources. And I think the challenge that we have in most fields, but especially in immigration, there's so much information out there, right? And forums and blogs, and people hear what the others have experienced. But it's not always, you have to take some of it with a grain of salt, right? So I often get asked by people, well, but my friend got such and such visa, why can't I do it? My case is the same. And it's not, it never is. So get the trusted, competent partners to guide you on the way. Be patient and plan ahead early as much as you can. Collaborate with those who are helping you. And once here, I think immigrants tend to work hard because they're grateful for the opportunity. And it's important not to forget that this is a privilege to come to this country, to have an opportunity and to serve others. And that's why I do the work that I do, because I've had that opportunity, and now I feel like it's my calling to offer it to others.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
So let me ask you about the sense of, and I'm just guessing because I
Mm-hmm.
don't do what you do, isolation.
Mm-hmm.
They're coming in.
Yeah.
You remember your own experience.
Yes. Yeah.
You're full of ideas and desire, but basically you're alone in your own head
Yeah.
and isolated. So I mean, it's hard enough for an American to relocate to America, another part of the U.S., right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like I relocated from Boston to L.A. and then L.A. to San Diego, and um, the but
Yeah.
way different years in between. But actually, at first, the relo from the west side of LA into San Diego was very difficult for me because I was sort of like a fish out of water. I didn't know
Yeah.
anybody or know anything, and it was like, wow, what did I do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then this is a long time ago, and earlier I did the move from Boston to LA, and that was easy because I was moving a business at the same time, and I was really busy from
Yeah.
minute one and never stopped. So, but people who are relocating from abroad now, who are adults in particular, and they want to make a living, and they have all these expenses, it could be a mind blower.
It's certainly a challenge, and it's not easy. but it is doable. So there are a lot of things to consider. And as an immigration attorney and somebody who's been through the process, I always keep that in mind. My job is not just to advise on the immigration options in the process, but I oftentimes say I feel not just as a counselor at law, but as a counselor to an extent, because you do have to have that emotional intelligence and cultural, sensitivity as well, and realize that, while these people are ready for the transition, it is a transition.
Mm.
So you have to be kind and empathetic and understanding as their partner. But on the other side, I think what happens oftentimes is, yes, there is the feeling of loneliness. Do I belong here? It's so different, and that's normal. And I think that's why immigrants first tend to stay within, other immigrants or maybe from the same country or similar countries. And that's great, because that's still, you're never going to lose that root, right? You need that connection. But I think it's as equally important to connect with, people who are here, because that is really your new life and your environment, whether it's through your work, and just meeting people. And that takes time. And it takes, again, flexibility. And my advice would be open-minded, explore, and be open-hearted. And then things will happen. And you'll find your place where it's the right place for you. But try not to have the same expectations that you have back home, because it's not the same. And that's the beauty of it, and that's the challenge of it, right? So I remember when I first moved to the US, and people are so friendly here in California and San Diego, and everybody would smile and say, "Hey, how are you doing?" And, I would respond, but nobody would hear me if I said anything other than, "I'm fine, thanks," right? Whereas in Bulgaria, you ask somebody, "Hey, long time no see," or just, "Hey, how are you doing?" Can they tell you their life story? Or they'll just say, "I'm miserable today." And I had that experience where I actually told somebody, I'm actually really not doing well today. They're like, "Oh, good to see you, bye." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." You don't really care.
Yeah.
But that's just one example of how, it's learning process, but that's how you change and you grow. And usually it's for the better, and just have that faith, have that open mind, and but never lose your roots. That's important as
So, do you help people network?
well. Mhm.
You know, we here,
Yeah,
particularly San Diego, everyone network is it.
yeah,
That's your
yeah.
life, which means contacts, connections,
Mhm.
whether it's because of you like the Padres or you hate the Padres, or
Yeah.
you like the beach, or you like to go for walks, or you like Chinese food,
Hmm.
or whatever. People get together, or they remain isolated,
Yeah.
and then that's not really good for mental health,
No,
but
no.
particularly with the stresses of relocation.
Hmm. Hmm.
So do you get people signed into LinkedIn if they're not already on a LinkedIn, for instance?
Yeah, I try to provide as much mentorship as I can, within my expertise and own experience. Obviously, I always tell people, especially those who come for work, connect with people in your field, because you already have something in common.
Right, and get a
It,
coffee, get up
get
and
coffee,
just ask,
exactly.
go be
Yeah,
proactive.
be proactive, be on
Yeah,
LinkedIn and connect with people. They'll usually say yes, and it's people are very, at least in my experience, most people will be generous with their time to meet somebody over a cup of coffee, and ask them questions. You're new here, what should I do? What should I not do? What was your experience like? And it can be a lot of fun. And I see that more and more organizations, companies are doing now not the traditional networking where you just go at an event and you sit around tables and somebody has a speech, but it could be a happy hour, it could be pickleball now is big, right? And just explore. But it's very important, especially in a new place, in a new country, and in general. That's how business is done. We work with people we trust. We work with people we feel connected to. That's why what you do is great, even in a virtual space. And I feel connected to my clients all around the world. Most of them whom I've never met in person. Yeah.
So I'd like to give you some media tip. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking at your name on the bottom here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you should add the website,
Yes, will do.
Purcell.Law.com, or
Yeah,
something
it's
really simple.
Purcell.Law. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a great idea. Thank you. Yeah,
yeah, because then everybody sees it, and
yeah,
it's important. So why don't you, as we come to a close here in this
of course.
initial
Yeah.
one-on-one, and I thank you for your time. I've learned
Mhm.
from you doing this, and I invite you to come back and think
Thank
about
you.
doing more, joining Global
Yeah.
Press Club. It's not expensive, and it'll help you
Mhm.
with exposure on a regular basis, track to run on kind of thing.
Mhm.
Okay, so name your website again.
It's Purcell, Purcell.Law, Law.
Well, that's terrific. So
Yeah, thank you.
is that a Google special address?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, just like mine is the email publisher at globalbusiness.media. That's a Google
Yeah.
special. All
Yeah.
right. And I
Yeah.
thought it perfectly identifies who and what I
Exactly.
am.
Yeah,
Don't have to
absolutely.
explain things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for doing this. I'll finish the production internally
Thank
here,
you.
and then later today, you will receive the program link for your own
That's
use
wonderful.
and make it part of your PR. I will post it on my YouTube
Mhm.
and on globaltvtalkshow.com, and it will also find its way across LinkedIn.
That's great. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. It's much, much
Thank you.
appreciated.
Come
We'll
back.
be in touch. We'll do.
Okay.
Goodbye. Take
Thank you.
care.
Bye-bye. Signing off from San Diego. We're both here in San Diego.
Bye.